Hi everyone, welcome to our pre-recorded video. We hope you are all staying safe and keeping healthy, and we're excited to be entering the new year of 2021. So today we're going to be talking about making healthier New Year's resolutions, and we're going to go through some strategies to stay on track with your health goals and really make some progress in the new year with regards to diet, weight loss, and any other health goals you've set for yourself. So we are all students at Dr. Kernew's clinic. My name is Zoya, and we have two other students here that will be presenting with us as well. Feel free to pause the video at any time and re-watch any sections that you have any questions about, and we will be providing our contact information at the end if you have any further questions. So thank you so much for joining us today. So just to briefly go over today's agenda, we're just going to do a quick check-in to make sure you're all doing well and staying safe. We're going to go into developing some healthy habits. We will also be touching upon smart snacking and how to really address those nighttime cravings or any snacking habits that you want to change in the new year. We'll give you some examples of some healthier snacks, and we'll end with a SMART goal setting session where you can kind of just take your goals and really expand on them for the new year. So just a quick progress update. Feel free to pause the video and discuss with anyone around you or write down your goals now. But what we really want to know is, what have you done so far to achieve your health goals? What did you do well and what didn't go as well? And what changes do you want to make for the next 30 days? Dr. Kernew likes to think of it as we can go 30 days at a time and set a new goal. And it's okay if things don't work out the way that we plan, but we should always be trying to get better and trying to learn new things. So just think about what your goals are and maybe take some time to write them down now. Okay, so I have this chart on our slide, which might be a good chance for you to pause here as well. There's a couple of healthy items on here. It's not a very extensive list, so feel free to add anything that's specific to you. But what we want you to do is pick at least one health item for the next 30 days that you're really going to work on, whether that's tracking your calories for weight loss, tracking your exercise, maybe going plant-based eating and trying things like meatless Mondays or veggies with every meal, drinking a glass of water before every meal to help with your portions, or switching from cream to milk or any plant-based beverage instead. So there's definitely lots of things you can think of. I would encourage you to pause the video now and write one down. And in our SMART goal setting session of the video, we will go in depth on how you can really expand and make the most out of this goal. Okay, so entering the new year, I think a lot of people might have a goal of being more healthy with their eating habits and also trying to lose weight. But one of the things we hear often at the clinic is, we're eating healthy, or you're eating healthy but you're not losing weight. And so it's really important that we go over kind of, what are you doing wrong, or what are you doing well but maybe not enough of, and how can we address this? So some of the things that we can think of right here, I have a table that says weight stays the same or make a difference. Some of the things to think about are, a lot of the times with weight loss and eating healthy, people are putting it off and they say that they'll do it at a later time, but it's important to start right now just so that you can get your feet off the ground and really use the resources around you. As well as we'll go over in goal setting, it's important to not just go cold turkey on things and kind of do what feels right for you and what you know you're capable of. So that's why it's really important to set goals. Instead of just cutting out all of your carbohydrates in the first week, it might be more important for you to eat from all the food groups and go in moderation and really look at the food guide and stuff like that. So it's important to really use the resources around you instead of just cutting out one entire thing. As well, believing exercise is enough to lose weight loss. There have been a couple of studies that have shown that diet changes are actually more effective in helping you lose the weight, and exercise is helpful with keeping it off. But to see the initial results, it's really important to make changes in both your exercise habits and your eating habits, and focus on calories specifically when you want to lose weight. It is important to eat healthy, but there is a science to calories. And so there's around, I think, 3,500 calories in a pound. And so if you want to lose a pound a week, that means you have to cut out around 500 calories from your diet a day. So that can be a drastic change for some people, and that's why it's important to really know what you're eating and track your calories so that you can kind of cut out the things that are less healthy and really stick to the things that are working for your body and making and helping with those weight loss changes. It's also important to weigh yourself. A lot of people are afraid to step on the scale, and that's understandable and okay. But to really track your progress and see the success of all the hard work that you're putting into this, it's important to really see that number. And so weighing yourself, even if it's not every day, but often enough, is really helpful for you to track your progress and know that you're on the right track. Okay, so back to the question of I'm eating healthy, but I'm not losing weight. So a lot of the times, some of the things that people could be doing wrong or not really doing as well are they could be eating a lot of high-calorie foods that are healthy. But like I mentioned, it is important to track your calories. So if you're eating very calorie-dense foods and you're eating a lot of them often and you're not getting that fullness, you could be overeating and that's contributing to weight gain. As well, adding oils and fats to meals. 1 tablespoon of olive oil has around 120 calories. And it's very easy to just add things like salt and olive oil to our foods without measuring them and tracking how many calories we're actually adding. So that's another area where calories can start to pick up. As well, eating too many processed carbs and also not getting enough sleep are areas that can also contribute to weight. So it's important to, these are a couple of things that are really, things that we can change. So firstly, I eat healthy, but the portions of these healthy foods are too big. So portioning is important as well. We want to make sure that the majority of food on our plate is fruits and vegetables. And also, if a trick that I found is really helpful is if you eat on smaller plates, you actually can't fill them up as much. So you would be reducing your portions there. Another statement is I eat healthy, but I go off track on the weekends. Mindful eating is really important. It's okay to have like a few snacks here and there. But if you are going significantly off track on the weekends, you kind of are diminishing that progress that you had during the week. So it's kind of important to keep a balance so you're not going over the top on the weekends, but you're having a good balance every day. And then underestimating calories is also a big part of weight gain. Sometimes you might not really realize how many calories are in certain food items, and so it's important to track your calories so that you know exactly how much. Okay, so some strategies to consider for just overall meal prepping and planning. So planning ahead of time is always helpful. If you're busy during the new year and you have a lot on your plate with work, planning your meals ahead of time could really help with avoiding fast food stops. Also portioning your foods out. If you have your snacks in little jars or in little baggies like are seen in the picture here, that might help a lot with portioning because you're only eating what's in those containers. Also, avoid eating late at night. So try and space your meals out during the day so you don't kind of come home and consume an abundance of snacks right before bed. And also try to swap sugary or fat-heavy foods for vegetables or get creative with frozen fruits or yogurts or other foods that still have some of the flavor and the taste that you crave but are healthier for you. I think it's also important to just, those heavy foods that are really carb heavy like bread and pasta, try to swap those out for green leafy vegetables or do a 50-50. Like if you're making a pasta salad, add half lettuce and half pasta to kind of balance it there so you are saving on the calories. Okay, so some ideas for substituting for healthier food options. We will also go in detail about snacking as well further in the video, but these are just some things that are to consider. Swapping spaghetti or any type of pasta for a veggie noodle. Spaghetti squash is a really big trend right now. Zucchini noodles, if you could get your hands on a spiralizer, you can really do it with any vegetable. And so even if you aren't prepared to fully cut out pasta, it's a good way to kind of incorporate, like I said, a 50-50 ratio. So you're still getting the veggies and the nutrients you need, but you're saving on the carbs from the pasta. Same thing with rice. If you want to switch to cauliflower fried rice or cauliflower rice, I've actually made a cauliflower fried rice recipe that actually turned out very well. So just kind of get creative there with swapping your starches for veggies. And then also tortillas or any of those kind of flatbreads. If you can swap for rice paper, you would definitely save calories there. And then for snacks, which we'll go over in detail, like I said, swapping chips for things like unsalted or unbuttered popcorn. Water is your best friend for beverages. We want to avoid pop and other sugary drinks. And then as well, swapping ice cream for things like frozen fruit or frozen yogurt is a good place to start. And then as well, we're a big proponent of soups at the clinic. So trying soups and trying to make your own soups at home. In our other videos, we actually have a great recipe on how to make homemade vegetable broth with your scraps, and it's actually cost effective and also good for you. So definitely check out that video. It's called Cooking for Less. And so broths are definitely a lot healthier than the cream-based soup. So if you can, try and swap any of those cream-based soups with your homemade broth. That's definitely an improvement. And then as well with sauces and dressings, if you can make your own salad dressing at home. Actually, one of the best salad dressings is just squeezing a little bit of lime on your salad or lemon juice without the oils. And another great thing is that you can actually grow your own herbs at home. So that's a great way to add flavor to your meals, and it's also budget friendly. So that's definitely something we would encourage at the clinic, is to start your own little home garden if you can. And definitely send us a photo if you have one already. We'd love to see your progress at home. Okay, so before we get into the snacking bit of the webinar, some other things that I just wanted to mention. A really great resource that we found is Forks Over Knives. They have a website with vegan and vegetarian recipes, and they're all very well written. They tell you the calories and also all of the ingredients, and all of the ingredients are pretty easy to find, and they're also pretty versatile. So a lot of the themes I've seen are things like cauliflower and chickpeas are the base of a lot of recipes, and so they have a lot of protein and fiber, but are also budget friendly. So these are just some examples of recipes that you can get creative with at home. And some more here. And as you'll notice, there are lots of veggies on the plate. Swapping the meat component of your meal for things like a cauliflower steak. We also have in our other videos talked about the nutritional benefits of beans. So if you can get more beans and chickpeas to replace meat, that's a great option and something to try in the new year. And then as well, just the power of a potato and having a baked potato. A lot of people are scared to have a whole baked potato because of the carbs, but we've actually found that potatoes are very calorie effective. They keep you full for long, and they're a good starch to include. So definitely look into recipes with potatoes as well. And this is just an example of how you can portion out your meals. It's like I mentioned before, especially if you're working during the new year, you might find it very challenging to prep for your meals in advance. And also with COVID-19, accessing the grocery store can be very difficult for people, and we understand that. So definitely planning ahead with your meals, portioning out your foods, and really knowing what you're going to have for the week can really help with some of that anxiety about what you're going to have from meal to meal. So just planning it out, kind of, even if you have to write it down, it's a good alternative, and it keeps you away from fast foods if that's what your goal is for the new year. And then, like I mentioned, with your favorite beverages, your favorite beverage should be water. We definitely encourage you to consume water versus fruit juices or pops, because they have a lot of added sugar and can also contribute to those calories that you're trying to avoid. Okay, and so before we get into snacking, there's just a little bit here about how to quit nighttime snacking. Try to shift your eating window to later in the day. Avoid coming home and just kind of eating all of the snacks in the cupboard. That's where meal planning can really help yourself. Also trying to have water before a meal, and going for walks before and after meals are also effective. And then maybe even just brushing your teeth after your last meal so that you're not tempted to snack. So these are all great ideas, but we will go further into the key of healthy snacking habits.
Great. Hello, everyone. So yeah, we're just going to talk a little bit about snacking and how that can be managed and help you maintain or start some of those weight loss goals that you want to achieve. I will start off with a disclaimer with the statement, can snacking help me lose weight? Because the answer is potentially, but also potentially not. You have to understand that snacking, depending on whether you're planning them out, you're making sure you're not overeating, and you're choosing snacks that are healthy for you and can help you feel more satiated for a longer period of time. So we're just going to go a little bit into that. So currently, there is some studies that have shown that smaller, more frequent meals can help prevent weight gain, and they hypothesize that this might be because it helps to decrease hunger and increase your feeling of fullness, so you're not eating as much, and this can potentially prevent your overeating. When people become very hungry, they risk choosing really high, unhealthy, high-calorie foods that can often lead to eating too much at one sitting and making you feel that intaking more calories than you necessarily need. Furthermore, with more frequent meals, this provides you more opportunities to actually inject some of those really good, healthy foods that can help maintain a healthy diet for you. So with that being said, not all snacking is equal, and so here's on the right, you can see there's a list of some good examples of what are some healthy snacks. So for example, we have those fruits and vegetables, which are your best friends. You have those whole grains, unsalted nuts, low-fat yogurt, and sometimes hard-boiled eggs. But again, everything in moderation is something that we should be looking at. You should also try to avoid those foods that are high in sodium, fat, and cholesterol, but we're going to get into those in the next slide. So how do I choose a good snack? Well, a great place to start is actually the nutrition labels. And these are, there are currently 2 forms of these in circulation in Canada right now. But by 2021, all of these packages will be shifted towards the one that you see on the right, which is this new label that has various different mechanisms that can help draw your attention to, for example, the calorie count or the serving size. And these are important indicators of what you should look for when you're trying to pick a healthy snack. So, so the first thing to look at is the serving size. And this can be seen at the top of both the original and the new packaging labels. And what this does is it puts all of the rest of the nutrition facts into context for you. So it's really important to check these out because sometimes they can be misleading, where manufacturers kind of make a serving size that's not really realistic for what you're going to be eating in a regular serving size. So for example, in the past, ice cream companies have displayed a serving size of half a cup of ice cream, which is usually not what someone would eat in one sitting, and therefore Canadian guidelines have shifted towards making these more manageable, so around 1 cup or 2/3 of a cup per serving. And this helps you understand the nutrition facts in a better way. Next, we're going to go talk about calories. And so calories are in red because you want to be really sure that you're managing how much calories you're intaking, especially when you're looking at snacking. And so what you want here is you want to try to lower these calories because the recommended caloric intake is around 2,000 per day, but you should always check with your doctor to make sure that you don't have any special dietary restrictions. So that's another important thing to look at. Next, we're going to go into fats. And you'll notice that fat is actually, it's not in red, but saturated and trans fats are. So fats are a very broad category of macro molecule that may or may not be bad depending on the type of fat. So saturated and trans fats for the most part are not the best, especially when you're talking about trying to lose weight or trying to curb your health. And so looking at these, you want these to be as low as possible. So those 0 grams of saturated fat and 0 grams of trans fat. But when it comes to normal fats, for something, for example, like fish, it's very high in omega-3 unsaturated fats. And what these are is they've actually been researched for potential benefits of weight loss and therefore should not necessarily be cut out entirely. But again, that depends on the types of fat that we're talking about. And you should really check up and look at more, is it containing fish? Does it have fish oils in it? And those would be maybe a good indicator that it might have those healthy omega-3 fats, even though it has a little bit to more of a fat content. So ideally, try to look for snacks with low or no total, low fat and no saturated or trans fats. Okay, now we're going to talk about carbohydrates, which is a very big topic, because a lot of times we think, cutting out all carbohydrates is really good, and, we should try to take these out of our diets because they contribute mainly to weight gain. However, it depends on what type of carbohydrates we're talking about. So you can see that on the nutrition label, they break it down into 2 main categories. You have fibers and sugars. So as mentioned previously, fibers are more of those complex carbohydrates that the body actually can't fully degrade. And this helps to keep you more full and help you feel like you don't have to eat as much. So what you're looking for is, for example, high fiber diets. You'll naturally feel fuller for longer, and that'll stop you from overeating. But sugars, again, sugars can be bad, but they can also be present in a lot of fruits and vegetables. the key to look at is whether or not there are added sugars. So looking at the ingredients section of those products and seeing, is sugar the main ingredient in that product? Are there real fruits being used in there? And therefore, you should always take a look at the nutrition facts as a whole and not just look at one specific part, so that way you can really get a better understanding of, are these added sugars that you should avoid, or are these things that you should go towards, for example, an apple or strawberries, which might have more of those sugars, but also other things like high fiber and that are good for you. And then now we're going to talk a little about cholesterol. And cholesterol should obviously it's better if you reduce your cholesterol, because these can lead to big problems, especially with atherosclerosis, heart disease, as well as hypercholesterolemia, which can help build plaques in arteries, which is not good and can make you more prone to developing heart attacks. And so you should try to lower this as much as possible. Next we have sodium, and again, sodium is essential in the body, but only to a certain extent. So I would say that it's important to reduce your sodium levels. So avoid adding extra salt to your meals. Try to choose foods that aren't necessarily processed as much and don't contain as much of this added sodium, because this can lead to a lot of hypertensive issues, as well as can be detrimental to your weight loss. Vitamins and minerals are this last kind of area at the bottom, and these are typically good for you to have. With that being said, you shouldn't be, getting 3,000% of your vitamin C in a day, but they are very good for your body, and some of them are actually are essential nutrients and vitamins that we can't actually synthesize in our own bodies, and therefore we need to take them in through our diet to maintain a healthy, balanced diet. So look out for these and try to, again, create a balance between, your different snacks. If one snack is really high in vitamin C, then maybe have another snack that's higher in vitamin A or potassium. And you can do this to make sure that you're covering all your bases. And lastly, the most important thing is to look at the daily value. And this is kind of really important because this measurement kind of puts into perspective all of these, small amounts, grams, milligrams. And what this does is they are based on the guidelines of the federal government and the health agencies to ensure that you're getting how much you need in a day. So for example, as you can see here, it says 22% of your sugars are in this 1 cup of product on the right side. And this pretty much means is that if I consume 22 grams of sugar, so if I consume this product, I would have 22% of my recommended sugars for the day. So that's actually a lot. And based on this little indicator at the bottom, on the bottom right, which is actually a new addition, it'll tell you that 5% or less is considered a little bit, and 15% or more is considered a lot. So this is kind of helps to put into perspective when someone says, you shouldn't have a lot of sodium or a lot of sugars. This can be a good benchmark. That doesn't mean that you should, I don't want a lot, so I'm only going to have something that's 14%. But it gives you an indication that, these are the benchmarks that I should, look to follow and not exceed these in order to, during my snacking, because that can lead to actually poor weight loss for you. So now that we've gone through these, so what are some examples of good snacks? So obviously there's many different ways to do it, but I've kind of broken it down into some of these categories, and I've actually tried a lot of these, and there's some things that I frequently make on my own time. So one example is a fruit salad with a little bit of honey and some lime. It kind of gives it that nice acidity, but also it's a very fresh kind of feeling. Frozen fruits are really good to have, even if you want to have them just frozen, or you can blend them up into a smoothie with some low-fat yogurt. And then you can also even make your own fruit and nut bars without any of those added sugars. So that way you can have those fuels to take you on the go if you need to, but there's still a healthy alternative if you have time. Next, we're going to go into vegetables. There you have bell peppers and hummus. Hummus is it's not always like a fan favorite. So if you want, you can replace that with other, lower fat dips. So, you can have you can put some almond butter or, crushed nuts or something like that, where you can have it pairing nicely. Try to avoid the creamy dips, because those can add a lot of fats to your diet, which aren't necessarily the best idea. Baby cucumbers, I personally love these because they're very easy to take with you on the go. They've got a nice snap, very refreshing, and they're a vegetable, so it's good. Next, we have unsalted popcorn. I do these in order to prevent those excess oils or butters when used to popping them. I use an air fryer. So if that's something you own, try some stuff out with your air fryer. Unsalted popcorn is actually a whole grain, so it can help you stay fuller for longer. And then zucchini noodles, as mentioned before, you can try these with a little bit of cracked pepper, and they taste pretty great. So, lastly, we're going to talk about some whole grains, nuts, and seeds. My childhood favorite was peanut butter and banana sandwiches. And what you can do with these is opt for whole grain toast instead of white bread, and this can help you as well. If you want, you can add up some crushed flax seeds or sunflower seeds to go along with it. And it's just a nice jam-packed healthy snack for you. Again, whole grain crackers and guacamole, unsalted almonds, and puffed rice cakes. It is important to note that when you are eating nuts, they do have a lot, they're more calorie dense, so therefore you shouldn't, each snack have, a cup of nuts, because that's going to, that might actually result in you having a higher caloric intake. But having a wide variety of, for example, vegetables and then some nuts. So that hopefully these gave you some ideas and will help you on your weight loss goals.
Yeah, now we're just gonna kind of finish off by talking about just goal setting in general. And so the first thing that you might want to relate this back to is earlier in this video, Zoe asked you to pause and kind of pick one of those things to kind of track for the next year. And so maybe you can kind of look back at what you picked and see if you can make a goal out of that, or if there's a goal that you're really wanting to work towards in the new year. In 2021, this could be a perfect opportunity to get started in creating a great goal. So we're going to look at how you can actually create a goal. And what we want to do is we want to follow a very specific method called the SMART goal method. And so with a SMART goal, basically, we're going to be looking at making sure that your goal kind of fits 5 different general categories. And so the first category is that we want a goal that's very specific. And when you're crafting your goal, you can really do this by using those action words and then also kind of stating, verbatim what you're going to be actually doing. You also want to make sure that your goal is measurable in some way. And so we can kind of do this a few ways, but maybe one way could be, if it's a weight loss goal, then your measure could be the weight. So it could be 75 kilos as your goal. So then you have that metric kind of to use and trying to find a goal. You also want to make sure that the goal is within a scope, and so it's achievable. Shouldn't be, unrealistic or anything like that. And then you want to make sure that the goal is relevant to you. So, if kind of keeping this theme and this trend, maybe it could be like a healthy eating goal, or it could be like an exercising goal, something like that. And then the last thing we want to make sure is that the goal itself is very time bound. And so maybe you have a goal. Maybe you want to reach the 75 kilos by summer of 2021, or you want to do it by the time you turn 55 years old, or something like that. And so you should have some sort of time frame when you're creating this SMART goal. And so on the next slide, we're going to be looking at how we can actually achieve our goals. And so you might remember earlier today, Zoya talked about how sometimes it's not the best way to go cold turkey. And so just a little reminder, cold turkey is when you kind of go like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna quit all of this and then just not do it again. And so that is a way to achieve your goals. And it might work for some people, it might not work for other people. So an example of when you could try to use cold turkey could be like, I'm gonna just cut out all the pop that I drink every single day, and I'm gonna stick to water. And so that could be kind of a goal where you could use the cold turkey method. But you can also do the same goal with progressive loading. And so progressive loading is where you kind of start small and then go big. And so you might, with that pop example, you might only have soda 5 times a week, and then only 4 times a week, and then 3 times a week, 2 times a week, 1 time a week, until you kind of cut it out slowly. And so another example that this kind of table shows is that this person is trying to do 50 pull-ups, and then you can see that on the left-hand side, they do the 50 pull-ups, but they decrease the amount of time that it takes them to do it every single week. And in the other example, they do more pull-ups, but they keep the same amount of time. And so you can see in both methods, they're kind of improving and they're building upon their successes to kind of achieve their goals. So the main thing that we want to make sure when you're setting up your goal is that you have a plan to track your progress. And so there's a lot of ways you can track your progress, but it's going to really come down to what your specific goal is. So we want to make sure that you can kind of look around yourself and try to see if you have a support system that can really help you. So one of the key ways to kind of do this is to have someone that holds you accountable. And so it's sometimes a lot harder for us to let other people down than it is to let ourselves down. And so if you have a support system, or you have someone, cheering for you, but also keeping you in check, keeping you accountable, that could really help. I know it really helped me when I was going to the gym earlier this year, January, February, March, to have someone to go with, and just doing it with someone else really helped me motivate me to go also with them. You should also kind of develop an action plan. And so that could be with that progressive loading strategy, which we can kind of talk about in a few slides. And then also try to use all the resources available. So let's say you do want to do, you want to make your goal like weight management, and you want to try to reduce your weight. You might want to, you can use our clinic. Our clinic offers a weight management club, and we meet, I think, on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. And then we also have a one-on-one call with you weekly or bi-weekly, where we kind of talk to you about how your progress was, what your current weight is, what your weight for the next week is, and then kind of talk through some strategies. Or you might, if your goal is to kind of stop smoking, our clinic also has a smoking cessation program, where we kind of call you and talk you through your options. And so try to figure out what resources are available, look on the internet, look around, ask around, and try to find all the resources for you to help achieve your goal. And then right now, we just want you to pause the video for a few minutes and then write down what your health goals are going to be for the next year. And then maybe you might want to think about which category or which technique you want to use. Think about the resources you have available to you. Think about your support system, and see if you can develop an action plan for yourself. Alrighty, so I've given you, a lot of examples of what you could do, and then here's the goal that I'm going to be using. And so my rough goal itself was just to get more cardio exercise. And so when I kind of convert that into a SMART goal, my SMART goal is going to be consistently start getting 45 minutes of moderate to high intensity cardio exercise daily by March 2021. And so you can see how this goal is very specific. I want that moderate to high intensity cardio exercise. To me, it seems that it is going to be measurable, because I can see, 45 minutes, have I accomplished that or not, by just, looking at a timer. I think it's going to be attainable, and it seems very realistic, and it seems very relevant to the topic. And then it's also time bound. I want to be able to get, consistently 45 minutes daily by March of 2021. And then my plan is going to be using the progressive loading strategy. And so you can see that I'm going to start by just getting 10 minutes of exercise on my elliptical bike daily for 1 week. And then every week, I'm just going to add 5 more minutes. And so by the end of February, hopefully, I should be doing 45 minutes. And then, that last week of February and then all of March, I'm going to try to focus on keeping my intensity up by looking at my heart rate through the elliptical bite heart rate monitor and the Fitbit and my Fitbit. And so that's going to be my goal. And you can see how I've kind of broken it down into those 5 categories that we talked about. And I've also created a plan to go through every single week. And so I think Zoya is going to take it away with the well-being prescription.
Yes. Thank you so much for that goal setting presentation. That was excellent. And I would encourage you to all go back over it and pause the video as many times as you need. And also remember that this can be used for all of your goals. So it's okay to have more than one goal, of course, and you can apply the same framework. So just to kind of end off our video, we really want you to send us your well-being prescription. So we will provide a link for this prescription in the video below. Just write down any of your goals, how you plan to achieve them, and just email it to us. We'd love to hear from you and also enter you to win a 30 Days to a Healthier You copy. So this is just what the well-being prescription looks like. It could be anything from food and eating habits, exercise, building better social connections, getting more sleep. We have tons of videos on stress management and resilience, and I would definitely encourage you to check those out as well. And then also what your long-term goals are, and just like we went through that great presentation, what your SMART goals are and how you plan to achieve them. So we'd love to hear from you, and we will link all of these below in our video. So definitely check those out on your own time. And just before we wrap up, I just also wanted to provide some tracking apps. A lot of things have shifted to technology now with the COVID-19 pandemic and most things being online. So definitely check out these apps if you can. The weight management tracking apps like Fitbit, MyFitnessPal has had a lot of success. It allows you to track your exercise and your eating habits so you can see your total calorie intake and track your progress there. We also have, like I mentioned, Fitbit. If you've gotten an Apple Watch or any of those new technologies, definitely check out how you can make them work best for your health. And then also, like I mentioned with calorie tracking, we have MyPlate. This is also a great app. It lets you put in all of the food that you've consumed and gives you the calories. And you should also be able to scan barcodes as well, which is a neat feature. And the same thing with Lose It. And I've actually had a lot of patients have success using the Lose It app for weight loss and just keeping track. So if you're not really a pen and paper person and you prefer to use technology, these are great apps to check out. As well, if you don't have access to these apps, don't worry at all. Tracking with a pen and paper is great as well. It makes you more conscious because you're actually writing stuff down. And so I'd encourage you as well to just keep a food log or a food diary and write down what you're eating in a day, just so you have that visual reminder and can track your progress there. So we've covered a lot of things in this webinar. We've gone through healthier eating habits. We had a great talk on healthy snacking options and ended with some goal setting. So feel free to pause the video throughout and watch as many times as you need. We are wishing you all a safe and healthy new year. So thank you so much for watching, and you can find us online at drkernew.com. Check out Dr. Kernew's YouTube channel for an entire series of videos dedicated to health. And also feel free to send us an email at drkernew232@gmail.com with your goal setting or any other questions you may have. So thank you so much.